I don't think you realize how great things are going if you happen to believe in a re-election of Donald Trump. I don't think you recognize how great things are going. I don't think you see this. I don't think you know this. I don't think you can possibly grasp what is happening at this point. There's no way. And it's not because of you. It's not because of you in the least. It's not you. Believe me when I tell you, it is not you. Do not think for a moment this is you. Oh, no, 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 no. This is something else. This is something that is beyond our ability to appreciate, to grasp, to understand what's happening. This is not even, this wasn't even foreseeable, at least at this stage. You have to stop and say, am I seeing this? Am I reading this correctly? Am I becoming too excited over what I'm saying? This can't be. But it is. And it's getting better and better, and you have to sit back and know what to watch. You have to understand what is happening. And this is ineptitude. This is ineptitude. This is plain old absolute stupidity. Stupidity on their part, stupidity on the parts of the shadow government, the Democratic Party. I don't know. What we're seeing today is something that is really interesting to note. And what the astute political observer has to do is to sit back and say, okay, I'm going to take whatever I think, my thoughts, what I like, what I don't like, the people I care for, the people I don't, push that aside and observe this and evaluate this very, very clearly. Don't let your own feelings get in the way. Be objective, because it's even better that way. See, if you merely look at everything through the prism of being a Trump supporter, you're missing how glorious this is. When you remove that particular lens, you realize how incredibly horrible things are. Let me say this again. When you take away the lens, the MAGA lens, as they say, this lens, when you take it away and when you see what's happening, you grasp something which is more important. Okay, first, you have to focus on some things as the pile-on begins. The Economist today, huge deal. Huge. The Economist to many people is like Ayn Rand is to a lot of others. Nobody's read Ayn Rand. Nobody really knows the first thing about Ayn Rand, but people swear they have. Same thing with The Economist. Nobody reads it. Nobody cares about it. It doesn't really say much of anything, but it's something that you want to have in your kit, so to speak. Be cool, welcome. That's number one. Number two, you're seeing huge Democratic donors, not just pulling out, but publicly. Abigail or whatever, Disney, the Disney family, the Netflix folks, everybody, they're saying, unless this turkey drops out, you can't count on us anymore. Why is this important? It's in the open. It's in the open. It's everybody's being told this. It's in the open. It's loud. Unprecedented. Okay? Very important. Next, and this is critical to watch as well. You have to understand, where is the thing, where is the angle going to be? Now remember something. And again, I always want to go back to our own experience. There was a time, and I was telling friends of mine, and I don't want to sound like Dershowitz, where I predicted this. It was more than that. I said to them, I don't care what you think about January 6th. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter what you think. Yes, but it was a mere trespass. Yes, I know, but it doesn't matter what you think. It's what they think it means. They are the ones who are going to control this. They are the ones. They are the ones. It doesn't matter what you think. You have to listen to what they say. Now, here's the good news. What they're going to be doing now, believe it or not, is they're going to be pretending that this lie has some merit to it. That this idea that, why didn't you tell us he was this bad? Oh, yeah. That's their thing. Why didn't you? We didn't know it was this bad. You didn't know it was this bad. No, we had no idea. We didn't know. Why did you keep this from us? You didn't know this? No. Now that's what they're saying. Now you can debate that. You can sit there and say, well, you should have known. You're just as crazy too. Whatever. If you do, you're missing the point. This is what they're saying. And now they're pointing fingers. And this is where it gets interesting. Again, pull off on the side of the road like you're watching, fireworks. Sit in your chair and just watch what's happening. They're blaming each other. They're blaming the media. They're blaming the Democrats. And here's the next one. Guess what Trump is going to do? Now, remember, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, but we knew that. I want you to never say in public, but we knew that. Play along with their fiction. This is what makes them feel good. This is how they get off the hook for him. They're going to say to Kamala Harris, you knew about this. You knew about this and you didn't do anything about it. When you were on the phone with Netanyahu, when you were a part of things and you were a part of critical messaging, you owed a duty to the American people to let them know. It had to be above and beyond that of political expediency or political fidelity. And no. Now, I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds nuts. That's exactly what they're doing. That is exactly what they're doing. Next point. Listen to this. The issue now, and this is where it gets better and better and better. The issue now has nothing to do with the merits of the position of the White House. What they've done, their accomplishments, nothing. This is going to be veg watch. We're looking to see if he's vegged. That's it. This is perfect. Why? Because the troll community comes out. Social media does best when people can just point fingers and laugh. They don't care about substance, the Oslo Accords. Nobody cares. This EV, energy independence. President Trump is going to stop right now and do not be at all do not be at all surprised. And I'm changing my tack as well. I used to explain, and I used to say that the president is woefully errant by virtue of his not. He is woefully errant by virtue of his not going after substantive issues. He needs 3 key issues. He has to explain his worldview. Okay. I'm not saying he should abandon that, but what you're going to see right now, he's going to shift. Mr. President, this is the United States of America. With, aside and excluding, notwithstanding this particular wonderful, august group of Lionel Nation, the conspirators, these people don't know anything about anything. How many people have you noticed in your life who never knew anything about any issue, either be with Biden or Kamala Harris, who never knew that. I mean, he was bad, but they just never cared about this. Now that's all they're talking about. Why? Low hanging fruit, trolling, mean. Let's make fun of the veg. Let's make fun of him. Got it. That's what social media are made for. Actually, in plural now, but anyway, that's what social media is made for. To make fun of, to mock. Selfies, sex, instantaneous. It's an Instagram world, a moment, a thought, a meme. Memes mean more. I have friends, we have friends of ours, and they don't know I'm doing this. They send me, it's very interesting because I'm always gathering data. They send me not stories, but memes. Pieces from TikTok, pieces from wherever, Instagram, of a meme, of a cartoon. These are today's cartoons. B. Wakeful says, love your dose of sanity, Lionel, from Australia. God bless you. I was watching, dear friend, today. Mrs. L and I love, first of all, Sky News is just simply the greatest. The absolute greatest. They are the nastiest. I love Sky News Australia. And Rita Panahi, Lefties Losing It, is absolutely the greatest information there is. Please bear with me. And we have a lot of clips to show you, but I want you to understand this. If I run a campaign, I want you to vote for my guy. That's it. If I run a campaign, I'm not here to educate you, elucidate you, fill you in. If I work for a fast food chain, I want you to buy the food. I'm not here to be nutritious, to have you eat healthily. No, my goal is simply this. Find what the goal is. Find what the goal is. If you aren't getting the people to agree with you, you're wasting your time. Let me tell you what the number one goal of this is. YouTube, metrics, people watching, likes, algorithms, subscriptions, period. Why? You're not going to do anything if nobody's watching. You're just not going to do anything. The more people who watch, the more cachet you have. By the way, cachet versus cache. A cache of weapons, not a cachet of weapons. Okay? Just a thought. It has nothing to do with it. And what Sky News does is they get across, it's the lowest of the low-hanging fruit. And they laugh and they point and they mock, and it is brilliant. I am not here to find the sophisticated voter. No. I want them to go in and see Trump. That's it. That's my message. And I also want you, of course, to like what you're doing. This explanation is not for the leftists, though they might appreciate the way I'm looking at this thing. I am a realist, to use the now famous Mearsheimer term, but it doesn't matter for me. I want fannies in the seats. I want people there. I'm not here to do anything other than to utilize the particular platform and to exploit it for all it's worth. Years ago, in a talk radio forum, we had a guy one time who came in who was a genius. And he was an actual radio genius. His name was Randy Michaels. And Randy Michaels asked everybody, what are we selling? This was at a talk radio station. What are we selling? What's our product? What is it? And people went around and they said, information. No. Music. No. Fun. No. What are we selling? Ears. Kind of a Van Gogh, ears. That's all we do. We go to advertisers and we say, we have these many ears. That's it. How you get the ears, that's up to you. Now, let me explain this to you. It's so easy, Mr. President. The country right now is in love with this because we get to pick on people. People, especially on social media, are mean. They're mean. Many of these, please, I'm not talking about you. They're cowards. They hang around in their basement. They point fingers. Fine. Welcome aboard. We love you. Come on in. Have a seat. Have some crumb cake. Vote for Trump. Come on in. But remember Pepe's? Remember Pepe the Frog? Where'd he go? I don't know. But anyway, there's all these people. Now, let me show you what this is about. Mr. President, there is a God. And instead of you going and having to talk about an energy policy, you can just do this. You can show them this.
By the way, I've been all over the world with you. I've been in and out of battles anyway.
The word with him is anyway. One more time. This is it. This is it. This is it. Very simply this.
And by the way, I've been all over the world with you. I've been in and out of battles anyway.
Cruel? Fine. Tony Schwartz. Tony Schwartz was a genius. Tony Schwartz was the man who came up with the daisy chain commercial, the Lyndon Johnson commercial against Barry Goldwater. He never mentioned Barry Goldwater. He went right in for the kill. People were scared out of their minds over Barry Goldwater. They thought this guy's going to blow up the world. He had a little girl, Tony Schwartz, pulling daisies off. 1, 2, 3. This election, I forget what it was. There's more at stake. And then you hear 3, 4, and then you hear this kind of a silo of 10, 9, 8. Boom! This nuclear mushroom clouds. And then you hear Lyndon Johnson say, right now, we must decide whether they're going to live in peace or die in fire. Whatever it was. It ran one time. It was considered so horrible. So horrible. It ran one time, but they kept talking about it forever. What are you selling? I'm selling this. This is my thing. That he's a veg. He's out of his tree. Got it? Got it. Put your situation, your books away. That's it. And Mr. President, here's the best one. We'll do the dirty work for you. You don't have to do it. Years ago, very quickly, there was a fellow, anybody in the Tampa Bay area, I hate Tampa Bay, I'm saying it, but remembers a thing called Allied Discount Tires. A guy named Stanley Hanen's Allied Discount Tires. He was trying to sell tires. He went with his friend named Sam Behr, B-E-H-R, who was sold shoes. That was Stanley Hanen's best buddy. So they went to see these adverts, as you might call them, to see which one they liked. They went to a advertising company, and they were boring. So Sam Behr, who was in his buddy, who was in a little bit of a cups, not had his load on, but they were feeling no pain. He said, that's not the way to sell tires. He goes, put this on me. And he said, tires ain't pretty. When was the last time somebody pulled up you and said, hey, those are pretty tires. Allied Discount Tires. That's all he said. Tires ain't pretty. That was it. Who the hell cares about tires? Nobody cares. Get them. That's it. Number one, through the roof. He got to the story. What are you selling? Mr. President Trump will do the work for you. Who is we? Who are we? The world. Sky News is doing it. The Economist. You've got a man who's walking around who's a veg. Do you understand this? Sir, one more time. Let me see if I can explain this to you.
And by the way, I've been all over the world with you. I've been in and out of battles anyway.
Anyway, that should be it. That should just be it. Donald Trump. Anyway. Our good friend says, B. Wackel says, Tucker was in Sydney recently and absolutely smashed the so-called journos. Another legend shining light on these people. You know what? I saw this and good for you. And if I didn't know better, Tucker hired this dingbat to ask this stupid question because he was waiting for it. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It's a new world. By the by, last I heard, Ukraine is saying, we're not doing any interview with him. So I don't know about that. There's no way they can. Now, Mr. President, look at this one.
Got me, man. I'm not going anywhere.
Now listen to this. This was the idea. Listen to what I'm saying. This was the prompterless evening kind of a president. This was his chance to say, he's fine. He's great. That first one notwithstanding, he's terrific. Listen to this and tell me, what does this mean?
All right. All right, I'll come back out when they open the gate, okay? Thank you.
I'm going to come out when they open the gate. I don't know what that means.
All right, I'll come back out when they open the gate, okay? Thank you. One last thing.
Now, here we go. This is when they cringe. Whenever they do, they go, oh my God. You can feel the sphincters start to pucker. They go, oh no. Oh no. No, Mr. President, we told you don't. Oh God. Here we go. Everybody's saying, keep rolling, start rolling. Here we go. You know it's coming.
You know, I used to think when I was a senator, there were always congestion on the highways.
I used to think when I was a senator, there was always congestion on the highways. That's what I thought about when I was a senator.
There's no congestion anymore.
There's no congestion. Hey, LA, what's that called? The 405 or whatever it is. Hey, LA, there's no more congestion.
None. We go on the highway, there's no congestion.
None.
And so the way they get me to stop talking, they'll say, we just shut down all the roads, Mr. President.
There's no congestion. So in order to get him to stop talking, we tell him that we've shut down the roads.
You're going to lose all the votes if you don't get in. But anyway, I'll be back out. Thank you. I love you.
I'll be back out. Where are you going? Trump would have met every person, gotten to know their names, taken selfies, taken pictures. Everybody does this. He says, we're going to be back out. He is going to be back out.
Back out. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now watch this. Look, he's kind of walking off. Look at this. Little kick in his step. He's just over here, sir. Look, no, that's not it. Over this way. He's going the wrong way. Look, see what's happening? Look, he's lost already. He's going the wrong way. Now he's got to, and they say, kind of run a little bit, like a little kick in your step. Isn't this hard? This blows my mind. Blows my mind. It gets better.
There's a Catholic kid growing up in an area where we didn't like Catholics didn't get.
This is great. I have to say this one again. They're still talking about this one. And the hardest part about doing this is trying to explain to people what the hell he was meaning. I don't know what he was meaning. I don't know where he was going. I don't know where this came up. Let me remind you, dear friend, that the election is 123 days away. Remember, it was 200-300. It flies by. He was on a Philadelphia radio station, podcast or something. I believe it was an African-American gentleman or reverend. Very, very, very happy, very, very welcoming. Very, 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 very welcoming. Easy pickings. He's home. Listen to this one.
I remember as a Catholic kid growing up in an area where we didn't like Catholics didn't get.
He doesn't. You notice how he does? He reminds me of John Biner doing Ed Sullivan. He goes, right here tonight on our show, Gijo is Calvin Anne Marie, and he would always mumble into this. So he does these things where he just the sentence kind of just vaporizes.
I remember as a Catholic kid growing up in an area where we didn't like Catholics didn't get along. I'm the first president elected statewide in the state of Delaware.
One more time. I'm the first president. Tell me what this means. I'm the first president.
Didn't get along. I'm the first president elected statewide in the state of Delaware.
I'm the first president to be elected statewide in the state of Delaware. Okay. All right.
When I was a kid. Well, you know, I looked at John Kennedy and said, well, he got elected. Why can't I get elected? By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman.
He's proud to be the first vice president and the first black president.
The first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president. I'm proud to the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
Now, let me explain this to you. Let me say this again. Nobody cares about issues. Nobody's listening to issues. Nobody's paying attention to what he's saying. No, they're just waiting every time. They're just waiting. The machines, the amount of traffic, the amount of editing, the amount of memes, the amount of, people who don't know what's going on. People, young people, old people, Democrats, people who are clueless politically can't get enough of this guy. And who is he? Who are they representing? Or who is going to replace him, theoretically? A woman who doesn't have an excuse. Let me see if I can explain this to you. He has an excuse. He's vegged. It's probably more delirium. And the reason why is delirium versus dementia. Delirium is short-lived, as it were, but it's his memory. He doesn't have a memory problem. Short-term memory. He remembers the question. He doesn't when he answers a question, he never says like, what did you ask me? What were you talking about? He'll go off and he'll talk about something. He'll access a story when he was in Delaware. He has this kind of a weird, it's a combination of Hunter Thompson, Andy Warhol, and Norman Rockwell. He either was raised in Scranton or was at Garden City. I don't know where the hell. He makes this up. This idyllic, tough guy, like he was a greaser in the 50s. He had switchblades and kind of like West Side Story meets, I don't know what. You're also getting people who are his spokespeople, his spokes, coming forward and saying, absolutely, this is the most pathetic plea and entreaty I've heard today.
I think it's just getting a little silly here that we're talking about one night.
Now, hang on a second. Right off the bat, let's see where she takes off. What does this mean? And I don't want to be one of these, language experts, these body language, such tripe. But when somebody does not have the conviction, when somebody really doesn't understand, when a cheating husband comes home and has to explain where he's been, when you are in a class and you didn't read the book or you don't know the project, and a police officer asks you and you don't know what to say, you give them the old, that's what we do. So this is a Biden spokesperson going on MSNBC, which is Biden Central.
I think it's just getting a little silly here that we're talking about one night in this presidential campaign where, yes, he had a bad night. But why are we letting that, continue to to make the news about what's at stake in this race.
Now, is there anything she could possibly say? Is there anything she can possibly say? Let me tell you exactly what she has to say. Nancy in Garjola says Dems have pandered themselves into a pickle. You can say that one again. You can say that one again. Edie Crowley says, why aren't more folks outraged? It's a very good question. They are outraged, but they're also just shocked. And that's the way that's their equivalent of outrage. Now, let me explain to you. And this is the last one, because this sleazy, slimy, dirtbag, perv, this is a nasty. This may be one of the. This guy may make Robert De Niro look monastic in terms of his lifestyle. Let me try.
They don't pay you. They don't even reimburse you. I've been going wherever I've been asked, whatever task, large and small, because I believe in this man. I believe in his character. I believe that he has been one of the most transformative presidents in our collective lifetime.
This is good.
I really believe it.
Complete nonsense, but it's good.
There's a decency to Joe Biden. And I'm old-fashioned. Character matters, but I'm also old-fashioned in this respect.
I can't even watch this. Character matters. Remember what I'm saying. I've been talking about him for a long time. He is such a satyr, such a sybarite, such a lech and a skeevy perv. You wait. Just wait till that one. Here's a great point. Our dear friend Soul76 says, New York Times headline for Joe Biden, what seems like age might instead be style. In this respect, the president has something in common with Beethoven, Wagner, and Martin Scorsese. Not a parody. It's incredible. Let me ask you, my dear friend, and thank you. Raul Rodriguez says, if he falls, bust his face, will who come in? Neg come in? Newsom? I don't know who Neg is. But anyway, thank you. Thank you for that. Here's the best one to do. This is the best. This is the best thing that the Democrats can say. It's the only thing. Think Stanley Hayden. Think Sam Bear. Think you're trying to sell tires. What are you trying to do? What's your message? Why do people buy tires? What do people want? What are you trying to sell? What's the story? I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again. Do you know that Budweiser years ago never mentioned beer? They never mentioned beer. Budweiser was about a lifestyle. Budweiser was about girls and volleyball and, that kind of stuff. It wasn't about beer. So what's the take? Very, very simple. But first, Cobb says, good morning, sir. In case you missed it, yeah, Disney heiress halting money to DNC. Indeed, I mentioned that this morning, sir. Thank you. And also Netflix, the Netflix Pangendrum Poobah said the same thing. Now, here's listen to me carefully. This is the only thing they can say that everybody can go on and say specifically, very, very easy to understand. Remember what our motto is. Remember what our story is. Listen to me carefully. I'm very simple when it comes to getting the message across. And it's just like a closing argument. You find the one thing that makes the most sense and you plow through it. One thing, maybe two. You don't talk about stuff. What are you trying to sell? Trump's got to say very simply this. Do you want 4 more years of this? That's it. Do you want 4 more years of this?
By the way, I've been all over the world with you. I've been in and out of battles anyway.
Do you want 4 more years of this? That's it. Now you may say, You can't say that. You've got to give somebody something to vote for. I'll give you something to vote for. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, Deb Oresco joins us. Deb, welcome. Have a seat. Have some crumb cake. Have a seat. Gene Crane says, if Biden drops out, the donations can only go to Harris. Can't transfer to anyone else. That's true. But then again, if they lose, what difference does it make? That's a very good point. That's absolutely correct. Raul says, when he falls, busts his face. Oh, will Newsom come in? Well, no, I think they won Kamala Harris. I will get to Kamala Harris in a moment. But thank you for the way. But very, very simply this. Here's the idea. It's a very simple thought. Do you want that? Trump's going to say, do you want 4 more years of this? The Democrats are going to say, if you don't vote for whoever we give you, it's going to be Trump. That's it. So you know what? You want to talk about performances? Go ahead. I'm serious. This is their best. Take it from me. I'll walk out there. You want to talk about his performance? Fine. You want to talk about how he did in the campaign? Fine. You want to talk about whether he walked over here, whether Jill came up and helped him? Fine. Go ahead. Vote for Trump. Go ahead. Be my guest. If you don't vote for him, you're going to put Trump in for 4 more years. You got that? So you tell me, here's your country. You're at the crossroads. You decide. Do you want him? Do you want the Democrats? And I would say the Democrats. I would make it sound like you're getting a group, a team, a panel, an organization. You're not getting one guy. You're not getting Pops Biden. You're getting a team. And if that doesn't work, Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris, this is even more unique. Even more unique. Why? And this is where I think God is laughing his or her or its, I don't know, get the pronoun correct, astral arse off. God is saying, you thought I forgot you, didn't you? As a matter of fact, I did. Oh, we're not even done yet. I gave you so many things, you never knew it. I gave you a ridiculously corrupt party, a ridiculously corrupt president. I gave you horrible, terrible, rancid politicians of all stripes, all configurations. I gave you all of them. You didn't know that, did you? Oh, yes. Then what I did was I gave you this corrupt media that for the longest time propped up the Democrats. And now they have to decide, and get ready for this. And this is what I was trying to tell you before. The issue is going to be, when did you know this? How long did you know it? And what did you do? What did the president know? And when did he know it? What did you know? And when did you find out? Now, the 25th Amendment. The 25th Amendment, we're talking about this. The 25th Amendment says that in case of the president's resignation, right? Resignation, the vice president, Kamala Harris, becomes president. That's what the 25th Amendment really about. I think it was John Tyler or somebody came on with it. Harris would have to nominate a vice president who would then take office upon being confirmed. This is if Biden steps down. Harris could then run as the incumbent, a benefit to her candidacy. Do you understand this? That would also offer the stability that she claims she needs and that she can offer people. You understand what's happening? Do you understand this? That's one area. One area. People would not be freaking out so much about an open convention or be on the lookout for some divisive, calamitous brokered fight and over who the nominee will be. Now, this allows a transition in which Biden will cede, give up, and give the title to Harris, and sets the stage for a campaign that can be more, they can pay more attention to really what matters. Now, by November, if you think about this, she would have had, I don't know, 3-4 months on the job. It changes a little bit. So it's critical. It's critical that whatever happens, Biden's got to step down now. Now, if Biden resigns soon, then we don't have to discuss or any of the 25th Amendment. If a permanent stepping down, a permanent resignation seems not too palatable, then the amendment section 3 kicks in, and this provides the president to cede the office to Harris without the finality, supposedly, of the resignation. Biden can make a, quote, a written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties, and then Kamala becomes the acting president. It seems better. It's a written statement. It's not like he's resigning. I'm just saying I can't do this. This sometimes is often they used the 25th Amendment one time when Reagan had his colon surgery. Remember that? He was out for a couple of hours, and George Bush was the acting president. In fact, SNL years ago did a piece. They said the Bush presidency, a look back. It's like an hour, whatever. Now, if Biden says no, I'm not doing it. He says no to an outright resignation or the written declaration, or if he doesn't just want to just say, the heck with the balance of my term, then it'll be time to look for Section 4 of the amendment, which covers the removal. The vice president and the majority of the cabinet, then in a formal declaration, they state that Biden, quote, is unable to discharge the powers and duties of the office. Whereupon Kamala Harris would become the acting president. And at that point, Biden could say that no inability exists, there's no problem, and resume his office. But I don't know how that could happen, especially after the vice president and the cabinet have taken the step of basically saying it. In that event, then Harris and the majority of the cabinet or some other body, as Congress may by law provide, could once again declare the president's inability. So it's a very, you don't want to go there, but I like this written declaration. See, it's a written declaration. It's not really I'm not really quite. It's not what you think it is. I'm saying I can't continue. Well, are you saying that? Are you saying that you're quitting? No. Anthony says my sister will vote Biden even if he wasn't alive. Anthony, thank you for. Anthony, I'll let you to pronounce your last name. Thank you. Brad Oppland said this whole thing is insulting. Kay was elected vice president. It's not insulting. For them, it is. It's very interesting, Brad, how the drafters at least thought about that. Or not the drafters, but the 25th Amendment. Now, what happens in the meantime is simply this. This allows him. He cannot make it. So how does he bow out? They don't want to kick him out. Doesn't want to resign. What happens? How does this work? Now we get into, okay, once that's done, now we get into Kamala. Now, why is that important? Number one, the country. If SNL doesn't jump on this as obligatory, mandatory, comedic commentary for a show that is steeped in political referencing, then there is no God, there is no justice. They have to do it. Jon Stewart is mentioning it because he is so desperate to get back into the world, because he still can't figure out why in the hell he quit in the first place. But that's a different story. The next is going to be, okay, now that we got rid of him, let's look at Kamala. There are two women who imitate her. One actually is better in the scripting. And you're going to laugh at this, but America still doesn't know how bad she is. When they hear this word salad, this logolalia, when they hear it up front, for the first time, Americans are going to be absolutely shocked. Shocked. Now, Kamala is also raising her arm. If you saw yesterday at the White House, he raised her arm. She used the word, she called him vice president. Now, are these slips of the tongue? It's hard to say definitively, but let me tell you what President Trump has to do. Number one, and this is going to be very difficult for him, he's going to have to pray for the debate. A President Trump debate with Kamala Harris is it is so beautiful. Why? Because you don't have to hold back. See, Trump let Biden go. Very smart, very, it's a good tactic, good strategy. Let just Biden speak this gibberish and let him, act how he does. If Kamala is there, she's going to say the most stupid things ever. She has never been able to accept the fact that she has to understand facts. That when she goes out, she's making a fool out of herself. She doesn't understand that she's making a fool out of herself. She doesn't understand that people are laughing at her. When she talks about, you name the subject, there are more, as we speak, reels and compilations. And there are these two actresses who do her voice that they're already signing up. They're signing up with their agents. They're ready to go on the road. Tucker Carlson interviewed one woman. The other woman, by the way, is much better because she understands the essence of, she doesn't just laugh. She actually is much, much better. Okay. A side note of this. Do you know why a caricature has to be funny? Do you know why an ethnic joke has to be funny? Do you know why a rib, a dig has to be funny? It's got to be based in truth. An ethnic joke only makes sense if it is based not necessarily on truth, but what people accept as a truth. For example, if I tried to make a joke about Italians because they can't sing, you've never heard that one before. If I did a joke about Italians because they're notorious bad drivers, you've never heard that one. Or they're cheap, or they're... Now, if I make a mafia joke, okay, that one you'll get. Not that Italians are in the mafia, but there's a connection. You got to understand the connection. That's the only way an ethnic joke is funny. And the more biting, the more embarrassing, and the more painful it is, the truer it is. It's got to be true. It's got to really get to the truth. Okay. When Kamala Harris, and caricatures. Caricatures are very important. In the old days when they would draw something, there was one fellow, remember when George W. Bush took on that chimp look, the nose and the ears? Some person saw George W. Bush, some cartoonist, and said, he reminds me, there's a simian aspect to it. There's a monkey look. He looks like a chimp. And they made it, and pretty soon everybody did this. There was a picture of Nixon with the ski nose. Remember his nose? They did all of this stuff. The dark shadows. When David Fry did Nixon, that menacing. When somebody does something and they zero in on it, it's got to be there. It's got to be evident. But it's got to be noticeable that once they point it out, that's all you notice. Barack Obama was the most boring person to imitate because he never said anything. Imitating Trump, there's one fellow who does a Trump, they're so good. It takes one person to imitate him, and then everybody will imitate the imitator. Bradley says, Kamala is a barracuda, dumb as a fish. Trump will land her. Well, I appreciate that, but the question is, Brad, what about undecideds, independents, and the like? That's all I care about. I saw this before, what they did to Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle was just a vice president. Dan Quayle was perceived as stupid. And once somebody is perceived, remember, let me say this again. The new platform today is social media. Not Caitlin, whatever her name is, with the eyebrows and that leer. That's not it. Nobody cares about it. It's not Rachel Maddow. Somebody last night said, a friend of mine says, are you watching? By the way, Mrs. L and I were watching the 4th of July outside the window. This was incredible. The sounds of, in fact, I put it on Twitter so you could see from what it looked like. It was very interesting. It was very nice to see Americans ostensibly celebrating our country, but in any event. But as we were doing this, a friend of mine says, are you watching Rachel Maddow interviewing Stormy Daniels? I don't even know if she was on. I'm thinking, on the 4th of July? I don't know. I didn't check. These people don't know it's over. Rachel Maddow is making $35-40 million a year. She's on once a week, maybe, and it's over for her. She's never written a book anybody's remotely interested in. Say what you want about Bill O'Reilly, who writes these things. I have no idea. But at least he comes up with a story that's interesting, you know. Who killed Cochise? Oh, okay. Rachel comes up. It doesn't matter about her books. We don't really care. The bottom line is this. Rachel, more people know about Tucker Carlson in Australia. More people know about Candace Owens breaking from Ben Shapiro. More people know about that than anything you've ever said. And Lawrence O'Donnell and Joy Reid, they wait for you to say something stupid or to see what horrible wig you're wearing. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. So what's going to happen? When they catch on that Kamala Harris doesn't know what she's talking about, despite the fact that you and I have been watching this for years, the fact that we can't believe how anybody didn't know this, but that being said, when they see this, that's all you're going to see. And who does that go for? Who does that affect? Trump? Let me ask Brad, what does Trump have to say? Assume it's Kamala. What does Trump have to say? And don't think for a moment it's not Kamala. Because there are a lot of people who say, listen, we don't care about whatever money you've raised. We don't want to lose. And if we have to come up with the money, we will finance Gavin Newsom if we have to. We'll get it somewhere. We're not. They're not worried about money. That's ridiculous. Well, they can't use the money. Fine. These people, the shadow government prints money. You don't think the globalists want her in or Newsom or anybody for the money? They'll do anything to keep Trump out. So don't let that fool you like, well, the money. They're not worried about the money. Keep the money. Doesn't matter. This is about the next 4 years and about the direction of the world. Because as you know, right wing, whatever that is coming back. Let me go back to what I was saying. When America finds out, like, hey, kids, guess what? Kamala's stupid. Really? Yeah. Here's some stupid things she said. Wow. When it hits meme status, that's it. When it hits the whole notion of the potato stand, the standard, misspellings, that's a different story. Brad says integrity is always key. Bradley, I love you. It's key to you and me. Nobody cares about integrity. What does integrity mean? There are people who look at Trump and they say, this man has no integrity or he has all integrity. They looked at Dan Quayle and they said he can't spell potato. You see, Brad, the hardest part is for people to understand something. Forget what you think. It doesn't matter what you think. You can say that. You can say it. I think Mozart is more important than Taylor Swift. Mozart is not going to sell out stadia all over the country. Does that mean that Mozart's not important? Of course not. Does that mean that Taylor Swift is better than Mozart? Of course not. Does that mean that my love of Mozart isn't legitimate? Of course not. I'm telling you the facts. And Republicans have got to get off this highfalutin, this high horse where they don't know how to win an election. I'm going to tell you again what's going on. I was watching Piers Morgan and Roger Waters. Roger Waters, I didn't really know much about him. Roger Waters, who's 80, is as clear as a bell. And Piers Morgan just doesn't understand reality. He likes to say, what can I do to get... Piers Morgan is the Geraldo Rivera of the internet. He realizes I could just have people on and they can scream and yell. Like Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray could basically say something. He could compliment me and I wouldn't want to hear it. He is this sniveling, snarky, whatever. Doesn't matter what I think. Other people like him. I one time went to an event and Carrie Lake, who to me is this abysmal zero, but in this room full of Republicans, they couldn't get enough of her. Why? They liked the way she looked and she was on TV or Fox or something. That's it. And you could say, well, that's a pretty stupid reason. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's what's going on. Why was the ramen craze? It's still here, but not like it was before here in the air. Ramen was out of control. Why? I don't know why. Is it that good? It's soup. I don't know what the big deal is. It doesn't matter what I think. Let me go back and recap. President Trump, you have been handed a gift. You had Joe Biden. Now, you can do a variation of it. Joe Biden is vegged. Kamala Harris is stupid. Okay? That's the basis of this. It's like a bechamel sauce. That's the foundation. You got that? You got that? Now, you can work around it. It's like playing, a C, and then you do the circle of 5 and all that stuff. You can play around it, but you're starting off with, it's in the key of C. That's what you're doing. That's where we're going. You're starting off with this. The first one can be right now, they lied to you. They know and they knew that he wasn't up to it. Who else knew? And they're telling you it doesn't matter. They're telling you that a person's inability to finish a sentence. They're telling you that our embarrassment to the rest of the world is unimportant to them. They're telling you that Joe Biden's inability to speak, to walk straight without shuffling, to not look paralyzed, to not, at least they didn't have him all oranged up. He didn't have that faccia arancione, that weird, and they used to laugh at Trump being orange man. Remember that the other day? They had him, they're hypocrites. But Trump's thing is going to be very, very simple. They don't care how we look. There was one thing I'm telling you, As we speak, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, Erdogan, Netanyahu, Sinwar, the head of Hamas. I mean, you just go down the list. Everybody is praying Joe Biden is the president. When America's not necessarily enemies, but when the world is praying that America votes for the veg, what does that tell you? Now, the question is, so that's the first one. Very first question. You got that, Mr. President? Very, very simple. The next issue is, how long did Kamala know this? How long did she know this? And what did she do to cover this up? How long did Kamala Harris know this? Keep saying it. Now, you may say, that's not important. No. It is important. It's very simple. It's very simple. You didn't know. You didn't tell us. Everybody knew. Be quiet. They don't know this. They didn't tell you and didn't tell us. Is this fair to you? Is this fair to him? Is this what this is about? Because they're going to call it the Democrats. Next thing, Mr. President, tell the people what it is that you know is obvious. More importantly, tell them what you're going to do. Larry Bird, when he was the famous trash talker for the NBA, used to tell his opponents exactly what he was going to do. I'm going to call from here, take 2 steps. I'm going to do a 3-pointer here. I had to pick, and he would do it. And he would do it. And it didn't matter that he was telling them because they can't stop him. They're not going to. It's not like a pitcher telling a batter, this is what I'm going to throw. It's a different story. When he steps down, the president should say, here's what they're going to do. Inside. Number 1, I know this for a fact. Whether it's true or not, just say it. The Democrats are getting together and they're being handed out notes. These are talking points. And they have their usual suspects because they think that somehow Meager is going to make a difference. But they're handed out these talking points. And they're being told it's no big deal. They are being told specifically, refer to the president's current status. And you can do this as much as you want. Refer to the current status as a performance, as a debate. Next, Mr. President, make sure you make it very clear. We are not making fun of individuals with cognitive diseases, cognitive maladies, people who are neurologically frail. This is where you take the high road while burying your opponent. I don't take pleasure in this. This isn't funny. And I would ask everyone to recognize the fact that as it goes now, unless we do something to try to affect, prevent, predict, treat neurological disorders, dementia, delirium disorders, you may find yourself one day in that position. A loved one, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, a spouse. This isn't funny. This isn't funny. We're not talking about a quirk. We're not talking about merely, and this is where Trump shows this incredible sense of elevated class as he buries him by telling you we have to pity this man. We have to pity. Are they honestly going to subject Joe Biden to another debate? Bring up Rocky Marciano, who fought Joe Louis, who almost killed him, and Rocky Marciano cried. He said, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. The Democrats don't care about their own. And ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, I'm telling you right now, and my fellow Democrats, because we're Americans too. And as your next president, I'm going to represent you as well. I represent everybody. But they're doing the same thing to Kamala Harris. And they're taking somebody who is not ready for prime time, who is not able to, I'm not suggesting anything about her mental wherewithal. This is where you say it. You say, I'm not talking about her intelligence, her mental wherewithal, but I'm talking about her ability to have a cogent grasp of the subject without repeating it in what appears to be a parody waiting to happen. Brad Opland says Kay and the Dems have no integrity. Yes, that is true. That is true. But that should not be the president's message. You know that, right? You understand that, right? Tell me you understand it. Why? You don't tell the Democrats they don't have integrity because you're telling the people who are listening you don't have integrity. You make them know that they're being misled by the Democratic organization. But the people who run the show, shadow government, whatever you want to call it, you never tell them. You never say to anybody, Democrats, well, I'm a Democrat. Italians, New Yorkers, wait a minute, hold it. You're wrong with that because they will immediately say, are you saying everybody? Are you saying everybody? So we know these things. This is true. But it's not a Democrat. Brad, let me tell you something. There are people, you got to understand this, who will look at me or you, and when we say we are not going to vote for Hillary Clinton under any circumstance whatsoever, they look at you as being hateful, misogynistic, crazy, demented, with no integrity, that you wouldn't vote for this woman because she's a woman. And they'll come up with something and you're saying, I know what you're talking about. I never said that. So always get the message right. Always get the rest. The truth will set you free. Not really. Again, I'm not trying to be contrarian, but whose truth? What do you mean? There's no such thing as truth. Whose truth? Who? I've been through this with people. We talk about religion or religions or what's going on. Everybody thinks they're correct. And when you tell somebody the truth will set you free, you're telling somebody you're not truthful or you don't know how to tell the truth. Never insult the people you're trying to get the vote from. I know what you're saying. I appreciate this. But if the president, if the Democratic Party, do you mean to tell me that Barack Obama hasn't come to you and said, ladies and gentlemen, I come to you as an American. I've tried to work with the Democratic Party, but they won't let me. Joe Biden is a good man. And that's why we are asking him to step down and under Article whatever, the 25th Amendment, to not resign, but just to introduce a writing or whatever it is. For the betterment of this country, in the pursuit of the tenets and the background, but he must do this now. Somebody's got to do something. Okay, that's that. When Kamala comes up, what does Trump do? Trump is going to lay her out. Is that smart? You're going to say yes because you want to see her clobbered. I say no. I say no. You don't have to. There is nothing more biting than using understatement and the obvious as your fulcrum. Did you ever hear somebody have a hard time saying something and your response is, well, it's easy for you to say? Or something like, I couldn't agree more. Because you're instead of you saying, you're mocking it, but in a way that, next, Mr. President, let other people do the fighting for you. Don't worry about the Citizens United will let you do a lot of stuff. Not the I'm Donald Trump and I approve this, that. No, just have people come forward. Mr. President, we have this thing called the internet. And you don't understand this. Let me see if I can explain this to you. And please don't take this the wrong way, but I want everybody listening to understand this. We have children on the internet. Children, I don't mean literally people 13 years and under, or whatever the definition of a child is. I mean adults who are children. The vast majority of the country does not vote, does not care about anything, but they will do anything that they think is part of a fad. Have you seen, honey, that terrible thing of this woman, this young girl who has this thing? It's the sound of clearing her throat. Kachuka something. She kind of. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Millions. And what is she known for? What does that denote? We know what that denotes. Remember, it's a family show. Hookah-tua, what? Hookah-tua. Remember Sokotoa? Anybody know that? Oh, any Trig fans here? Sokotoa, Sohcahtoa. So, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Sokotoa. That is an acronym, but it's also a mnemonic. It's a way of, it's a little trick. Okay? Okay. It's really an acronym. Remember, keep it on the outside, take it to the outside, slap it to the outside, whatever this thing is called. Slap it to the outside. This woman, she was on with Dr. Phil. She was a subliterate. Look at this. Are you talking undesirables? No. That's no. Well, yes, that's a Hillary reference. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure about that. But let me go back to this and work with me on this. I am a pop culture social psychologist. I study what people do. I'm going to say this again. Overnight, people deface themselves with hideous tattoos because somebody said, this is cool. Okay. And they spent thousands on these hideous, horrible, vile, disgusting, low rent things. Do you know all of a sudden in maybe late 80s, Rush Limbaugh happened to, remember what's his name, Marvin Shankin? Cigar aficionado. All of a sudden, everybody loves cigars. I grew up in Tampa, nicknamed Cigar City. Smoked them my life, stopped doing it because of the jerks, cigar clubs and the bands, and I'm going to smoke a Cohiba. Remember when women smoke cigars? I find that repulsive. I don't know why. It's like you're really going out of your way to make a point. Now, I don't argue this. I study this. I know this is what people do. They love fads. All of a sudden, overnight, people were wearing, fat women, excuse me, I didn't mean no harm, are wearing yoga pants to the point where I don't know why. Tender-bellied, paniculide women were walking around with beer guts and spare tires pouring over. Remember, they called them muffin tops with, to call attention to it, an umbilical stud to make it more. Why? Because this is the murmuration. This woman whose family is going to say, yes, my daughter now is being offered millions for making in an off-the-cuff something where she's referring to okay. Now, Brad, let me go back to you. Integrity counts for something? Not on this planet. No. You worry about that. Give me the internet and let me say, I don't need bots. Just put out everything you can. And guess who's going to help? Anybody quick? Who helps? Who can do more to change the course of this than CNN, MSDNC, CBS, ABC, NBC, the Stephanopoulos interview? Who is the most important person? Come on. Who? Who is going to make it? Who is going to fix things like you cannot believe? Who is the person? Elon Musk. Oh, yeah. In 2020, he wasn't around here. Now Elon loves Trump. And he knows exactly how to fix things. And exactly how to give things a little push. A little movement. You know who also is coming back? Alex Jones is coming back. Through whom? Elon Musk. Elon Musk. Jeff Bezos and that thing I'll just leave it at that. He's not a big shot. Elon Musk. Elon Musk wants to change the world. Wants to change the world. If all of a sudden something is trending, if Elon says, I'm going to trend, I'm going to say that Kamala's compilation, these compendia of idiotic moments of Kamala Harris. If Elon Musk says this is going viral or this is viral, whether it is or not, it'll go viral. You just tell people, just get a tattoo, put that thing in your stomach. This one's funny. I'm telling you, you have no idea. They're going to have to fight this. Mixed with Trump coming out and saying, okay, let me tell you what they're going to do now. They're going to come out and they're going to keep telling you. They're going to try everything. The immunity thing. They actually had Kerry Washington. I know. You might know who she is. She's like an actress. Talking about immunity. Maybe he'll get John Legend or something to come. I mean, they have no celebrities. You know the guy who always stays out of this, very smart? Robert Downey Jr. A lot of people do. Brad Pitt, they stay out of it. They stay out of this. I can't speak for either of them, but they're smart. They're getting nowhere near it. Deep down inside, they're not Biden supporters. Remember, nobody will say I'm a Trump supporter, but they will say I'm not a Biden supporter. Judas Goat Barbecue says, my old pathology book describes tattoos as the often regrettable yet indelible reminders of bygone follies. Ah, yes. You laugh at this. That was a social experiment I will never forget. I will never forget this. And how fast. All of a sudden overnight, people still walk around in pajamas and scuffies and slides wearing the little ankle socks. So somebody told me that was COVID. Excuse me, how long ago was COVID? What was COVID? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? I don't even know. 3 years ago? 4 years ago? You can't blame COVID on this. You don't understand this. I'm telling you, we work in murmurations. Politics is not. Newsmax has this wonderful idea about what they're going to do for Trump. That's great. Americans don't care about that. There we go. Joseph Clark says, appreciate you, Lionel. Trump 2024. Oh, absolutely. I want to work. Nobody will ever have me. Nobody. Because they do things the old-fashioned way. Remember the old... I love Bernays. I love the notion of menticide and brainwashing. I love Gustave Le Bon. I love psychology. I love the crowd behavior. Right now, Trump is saying, don't say anything. Don't say anything. When you're on YouTube and all of a sudden you do something that I remember one time I did, I don't know what, I said, okay. I said, this Titanic sub thing is interesting. And I think it's such and such and such. And I thought it was like, all right, it was okay. It went through the roof. Next, Cat Williams. I said, oh, okay. That Cat Williams through the roof. I don't know why. What do you think my next video after that one was? Cat Williams or the sub. I don't question this. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. Mrs. L and I, we always walk by and we look at there's a new burger place on 9th Avenue. Oh, how does that work? Or 8th Avenue. How does that work? Too dark. Is that going to work? I don't know. It doesn't have, this looks good. This is bright. There's a psychology that pulls people into stuff. You don't know why. Have you ever noticed why some stores don't work? Have you ever noticed a corner that you could tell this was a gas station and it never worked? But across the street's a gas station and it's packed. Is it the angle? Is it the direction? I don't know. Human beings don't vote. We live in this rarefied world of Twitter and YouTube, and we're going to talk about things like I have some very dear friends. And sometimes I'll comment, will be on their shows, and they're from all over the world. And they'll talk about Israel. And they get very upset with me sometimes. And say, well, what are they saying in the US about Israel? I say, nothing. Well, what role do you think Israel will play? Nothing. What do you mean nothing? Nothing. No interest. None. Well, you know, Netanyahu is going to be me. Nobody cares. They just don't. I know why. Because they just don't care. That's it. I don't know why. Netflix will do things all of a sudden where they will say on Daily Mail. Daily Mail is the greatest paper. Have you seen this? Netflix will say, this story, this ending is so frightening. People are vomiting in theaters. No, they're not. They just said that. But people will believe it because it's all professional wrestling. It's a work. I don't care about anything. Let me give you an example. I do care about stuff, but I don't care about why you think things. I just want to know, are you going to respond or aren't you? I don't know why. Years ago, in the days of NWA, 60s and 70s wrestling, there was a group of people called the Von Brauners. They were always German. Germans were always bald-headed. They wore black leotards, and they did the claw. Von Raschke, they were the Germans. This is professional. Germans were bald, and they did this. And they screamed and yelled and whatever. Russians had a different gig. Samoans, Haku, Ming, all those. They have their own thing. Tongan. Okay, fine. Now, this group was very popular. The Von Brauners. Two guys, Chester Strickland, and they were like from Georgia, but they were tall, big, and they bald. They're Nazis. Guess who their manager was? Gentleman Saul Weingroff. He was a Jew wearing a German helmet. Gordon and I used to laugh. Gordon Soley. I said, "How does that work?" He said, "They don't know. They don't know. They have no idea." I had a friend of mine who owned a series of these. Did you ever see these Renaissance fairs? Did you ever see these Renaissance fairs? Where they have the lute. Hello, fair lady. Ding, ding, and some guy would dance, with the, whatever it was. Okay. He booked this in an inner city. I think it was Chicago area. They couldn't sell a ticket. And you realize, wait a minute. Are these folks predominantly black? Yeah, this is true. He says, what connection would they have with medieval King Arthur? What are you talking? This is not. Same thing with Italians. So he just brought in food that they would like. And he would like, turkey legs, ye old turkey legs. Turkey legs, shut up. Made a fortune on the food. The point is, he said, I know what the Renaissance period was. I know what medieval times are and Excalibur and all that stuff. But my audience doesn't. I care about what the audience needs. I don't ask any questions. Professional wrestling did not know the notion of World War II and how this fellow Weingroff most probably would not be the manager of two Germans, but it doesn't matter. Americans don't know about politics. They don't know about Israel, Gaza, Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Aqsa, the Houthis. the Bab el whatever, this one particular strait, the Strait of Hormuz. They don't know anything about this. 9/11. 9/11 taught people everything. Got to get them. Patriot Act. Iraq. See? Give them something to understand. Give them a story. And I'll leave it at that. When you do that, they'll follow you anywhere. See how this works? No need for overkill. Trump has been a genius by saying nothing. I heard a guy fancies himself a genius on a show I happened to catch, and he said Trump should have come out and just gone for the kill. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you talking about? This would have deflected the attention away. Just sit back and just nod your head and say, this isn't right. Now you're feeling sorry for him. How can they get mad at you for feeling sorry for him? Because the Democrats, they're heartbroken. They say, oh my God, this is horrible. They're not laughing at this. So why is Trump? Now, Trump's fans are going to laugh. We're laughing, sort of. It's still sad. Trump's brilliant. He said, I'm not going to say anything. The only thing he said was, he goes, look, I don't know what he said, and I don't think Joe does either. And then he said, look, let's stop. This is childish. Brilliant. Trump said that. When Trump said during the debate, this is childish. I loved it. We're going to win this. We're going to win this. And the question right now is, how do they get rid of Biden? They will. And I like this resignation. And Biden will. The question is simply this. Biden's going to say, you've got to make sure that my son is okay. Why? Because I love my son? No, because Hunter holds all the keys to everything. Jim, the brother, everyone, all of those family members with LLCs, somebody's got to make sure that Hunter is, because remember, once he steps down, he can't grant immunity. Now, what I do wonder is simply this. The president could grant immunity. Now, remember, a lot of what Hunter is going through is state. I understand that. A president can only grant federal immunity for regard, or immunity for, or commutation or clemency for federal crimes. The president can do it now. The president can pardon him for any crimes in the past or any crimes in the future. That's what Gerald Ford did with Richard Nixon. Oh, yeah? That is a presidential perk. Maybe he's done this before. You've got to make sure that he's got everything correct. We're not going to go after you. We're not going to go after you. No, I don't know about you, but Trump's not going to go along with it. Trump's too much of a gentleman. Trump doesn't have the killer instinct. Trump doesn't have the killer instinct. I do. I would have no problem. I would sit there and say, Mr. President, do you know how many people Tibbets incinerated with the Enola Gay during Hiroshima? Yeah. Do you think the dropping the bomb made sense? Yeah. You know all the people who died? Yeah. That's ruthless. So we can talk about this all day long, sir. We can talk about this all day long if you'd like. But in order to do this, you got to get your hands dirty. So I don't think Trump, that's why Trump let Hillary off the hook and Hillary. So what I'm trying to say, my dear friends, is listen to me very, very carefully. This is Trump's. We're doing great. Either way, this scenario, if he steps down, and I can see it right now. I can see it. I can see them now pushing. Now, remember, they do two things. They mention Kamala to see how people respond. They look at the polling. They look at the donors. They look at whatever's going on. And Trump right now, and let me also tell you something. Please, dear friends, I don't care how stupid you think She is. I want to see polling. I want to see actual polling. I don't care what anybody says. I want to see, with Trump against Kamala today, how would she do in swing states? And I don't mean some ABC Quinnipiac poll either. All right, Valera says, can Trump lose even if even if the cadaver in chief quits? I mean, the Dems will still have control over the vote machinery. Well, it's funny you say that. It's a great, and thank you, by the way, Mr. Valera, or Ms., I'm not sure. I've always worried about the fact that there could very well have been laws passed that gave newly minted illegals or whatever they're called, the ability to vote in, elections. So I don't know. So go back. Think about this. I want you to imagine this. Cycle. Anyway, thank you so much. You're a member. Bless your heart. This is the most important. Listen to me very carefully. Trump has to maintain his composure. The moment he gets mean, they tried that with that quote, hidden video or whatever. He has got to take it upon himself. There's no need for you to destroy your opponent. They're doing it themselves. Get ready for Kamala next. Just wait. You don't have to say anything. I have to remind people all the time. The people who are going to vote for you are going to vote for you. The people who aren't. But in the middle, there are independents, undecideds, folks who might be poached from the Democratic side, some people who might be very, very mad, some people who might figure, you know what? Because remember what his message is. Class, remember, our motto is very simple. Not make America great again. That's fine. Do you want 4 more years of this? That's it. That is it. Make America great. Who's great? What great? I don't know if it was great. No. That's great for the Lee Greenwood crowd. Bless his heart. But no. Do you want 4 more years of this? Have you ever, and also, I'm going to say something to you. You're not going to believe this. There are people who are still, they haven't even made up their mind yet. They're going to do it almost in the voting booth. Next, Mr. President, there are people who are watching this, as I said before, who live on the internet, who live in social media, who realize that this is a bloodbath. This is a trend. This is a meme. This is viral. This is trending. This isn't an election. This is trending. Joe Biden, they're just The Economist, a Walker. They're doing this. People love to always make fun of old people as though they're not going to get old, as though old people are from another planet. Tim Conway did it. Remember that? The old man, there was no Dorf. They always do these old people. The avuncular type, the Burt Mustin. It's part of our social, what have you. This is yours, sir. This is yours. Get ready. You don't have to say anything. Just wait. Biden's not done yet. Might be a day, might be 2 days, but they're letting all this information out. And the Abigail, whatever her name is, Disney, is not going to be allowed to say this unless she got the approval from somebody. Biwaku said, let's go Brandon. Absolute. Well, I think Trump even mentioned Brandon. People have forgotten about Brandon. I know you don't believe that. People don't know who Brandon is. Don't know who it is. They weren't paying attention. This one they know. This one they know. The jokes, the memes, and I can't say this enough, Elon Musk. So you can have all the Rachel Maddows you want. You can have the lady with the eyebrows. You can do whatever. You can have any of these. I don't care. Let me control social media. Let me use Elon to back me up. And let me listen to people who I know in my family, friends, neighbors, who never cared at all about politics, who all of a sudden say, hey, have you seen this guy, Joe Biden? We won. That's it. And stop thinking Fox News. Nobody cares about integrity. It's good for America. No. So, dear friends, thank you immensely. Thank you. B. Wakul Cycle, Mr. Valera or Ms., I'm not sure, Joseph Clark, Judas Goat Barbecue, Bradley Oplin, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your incredible very thought-provoking. Anthony, thank you. Raul Rodriguez, Jean Crane, Deb Oresco, ladies and gentlemen, Cobbs, Soul 76 Can, our good friend from Canada, Edie Crowley, we love you. Nancy Imparjola, and that is it. That is it for a while. Let me see here. Let me also tell you, my friends, as I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, that you have no earthly idea the horrors that are planned regarding our children. I know people say, oh no, because to truly understand it means to accept a sickness. That's why you should follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors on YouTube right now and on X or Twitter as it is. Okay? Great. Alexander Felk said, I can imagine what will be unburdened by what has been. Yes. Yes. I'm going to put together some great compilations. She's really funny. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad. October the 26th at the Cutting Room, 10 days before the election. The final chance. Imagine what that would be. Tickets are available right now, right here. Critical. In case you've never been, I meet everybody there. Everyone. Not one of these ones who goes in there, says, and takes off. No. We take selfies. We do whatever it is. A little bit of bluegrass. I'm going to do a song that last time, absolutely, it may be a bit moot, but it tore the house down. People were humming it. It was infectious. It was like a bad case of the clap. It was wonderful. So anyway, so that's it. And there it is, October the 26th in New York City. Right there. That's the link. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. See you tonight at 7 p.m. Please make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are subscribed. Like this, but make sure you are subscribed. And don't be surprised if we have other shows. By the way, Lionel members get to hear and see videos before they actually become live or drop. In any event, have a great day, my friends. Remember, Trump 2024, we've got it. And this is my favorite hat. This is the one I love. This is the rules. It says Trump because the rules have changed. This is the one, my friend, because the rules have changed. Different story, different world, different everything. We love you. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.